When it comes to gaming tech, one thing that I love talking about are controllers. In one of my previous videos, we looked at the 8BitDo Ultimate 2 controller, which is one of my main controls that I use for my PC, and also the 8BitDo Ultimate 2C. So when I heard that the 8BitDo Pro 3 controller was coming out from, of course, 8BitDo, I had to check it out, and of course I had to make a video. Now, why would I want to check this controller out to begin with? Well, I have a Nintendo Switch 2 and I have a Nintendo Switch 2 Pro controller, but I wanted a second Pro controller just to have so that I can play with friends when they come over. So when the 8BitDo Pro 3 was announced that it would be for the Nintendo Switch and of course for the PC, I was like, hey, you know what? Maybe this might be the one. So enough talking, why don't we unbox this and see what's inside? So here we have the 8BitDo Pro 3. I got the classic version. There are a couple of options. You can see on the screen, I really wanted the purple one. This kind of resembles the GameCube controller to a degree. I wanted that one. Unfortunately, I couldn't find it here. Still out of stock, surprisingly. But I did get this version. It looks pretty cool. So enough talk. Why don't we start opening it? And as we open it, I will discuss a couple of things about the controller. So as we've seen with the 8BitDo Ultimate 2 controller, this also has the TMR joysticks, which are essentially these electromagnetic joysticks that are supposed to be much better than Hall effect joysticks. So if you're worried about anything like drift, stuff like that, ideally with TMR joysticks, you shouldn't be experiencing it. So obviously as we open it, it's very similar to how the 8BitDo Ultimate 2 was presented. We have the controller here. I'm gonna pop it out, and we have the dock, which I really love. That was one of the reasons I really like the 8BitDo controllers. And let's get some of the more tedious stuff out of the way. So we have the wires, the USB-C wire that connects into the dock or directly to the controller if you need to. And yes, this is one of the main reasons I actually got this controller. So you can actually replace the joysticks with these little balls. So like those old school arcade sticks that you see. Obviously I'll show you how that works, but this was kind of one of the things that actually sold me on this controller. Very similar in weight to the 8BitDo dock, and honestly very similar in size as well. I'm assuming this will have the so this will have the 2.5 or 2.4 gigahertz dongle that you see here. Let me bring it closer. Hopefully it focuses. Let me do that. Focus. There you go. Looks really cool. Let's bring out the 8BitDo controller itself. So first impressions, feels kind of good. There's a reason I haven't taken this off yet, and I will explain why, but I'm just going to tell you right now that I really like this grip. I'm going to show you my 8BitDo Ultimate 2C because I have that lying around here. This is kind of what I use most of the time, mainly because it has a Black Myth Wukong decal on it. But in terms of feel and all that, this is kind of my go-to. But surprisingly, I'm really liking how this feels. It's a little bit heavier than the 8-bit Ultimate 2C. The D-pad, wow. I'm not supposed to be comparing these just right now. I'm going to be comparing it later, but just because it's right here, wow. Okay, so the D-pad is really good. It's really clicky. I really like this. Okay, all right. We'll do more tests. This is more of an unboxing. I shouldn't be doing all this right now. But like I mentioned, these are TMR joysticks, so much better than Hall effect joysticks. They have Hall effect triggers, so making it more precise, less prone to issues with the triggers. Again, the triggers also feel really good. They also have the switches on the back that we've seen with the 8-bit Ultimate 2. So now these become little clicks as opposed to triggers that go all the way down. Of course, the D-pad, this is awesome. And the reason I didn't take this part out, as you can see, it says right here, you probably can't see it, but it says swappable magnetic buttons. I'm going to remove this. So as you can see, currently we have the layout for a Nintendo Switch, but let's say you want to use your controller for the PC. What do? Well, it's actually a little bit harder than I thought it would be. All right, after struggling with this for a little while, now we have the button layout set up so that you can use it for your PC or for Xbox games, for just PC games, things like that. So for me, this is one of the key selling points. This is a great pro controller for your Nintendo Switch, but you can also use this on your PC. And as you can see on the back, we also have the options for X input, switch, things like that, so you can swap it accordingly to what you're playing or to which console you're connected to. Now, same thing with the joysticks. You can just kind of pop them out, much easier than the buttons, and then pop these in. And there you go. Look at that. It actually feels pretty good. It's definitely not, I was thinking that I could use this for fighting games, things like that. Like, it's not like I would not want to use it like this. This is not comfortable at all. And even like this, to be honest, it is a little bit slippery. Yeah, I'm gonna test it out. But it is cool. It is a cool look to it. All right, so why don't we head back for a couple of seconds and we'll discuss how I'm gonna be testing this controller. So now that we've gone through our initial impressions, we're gonna get into some testing. So for testing, like my 8BitDo Ultimate 2 video, I'm going to be first testing out the D-pad. I'm going to be using a fighting game, and I also actually want to test out these little arcade sticks emulators on the controller and see how that feels in that fighting game as well. We will then move into checking out an FPS game to check out how the triggers feel and also how the joysticks feel. Then we'll jump into some sim racing to see how precise these triggers actually are. And finally, my favorite, we're going to jump into a single player game to see how this controller feels in terms of immersing me in that game, looking at the vibrations, the overall controller, the feel, things like that. So enough talk, let's get into some testing. So now we're on Street Fighter 6. We're going to jump into a couple of rounds just to see how the D-pad feels. I did want to quickly bring this up because I did miss this earlier on. So in the dock itself, on the back, where the 2.4 gigahertz dongle is, if you actually flip this little thing that covers it, you will see that it actually has a button remover. So this is actually what you're supposed to use to actually stick on and then remove the button like so. It took me a couple of tries, but it did work. And the other cool thing is you actually have this option of having this no letter colored button kind of option as well. I feel like this looks pretty cool. I feel like a lot of times when I'm gonna be playing PC games, I might switch to this, but again, it's an option. All right, so let's jump into it. I'm gonna be Terry, bringing M Bison as the opponent. So just from the get-go, actually, I'm gonna bring this really close to the mic, but I just want you to hear the D-pad because it's very, very clicky. Hopefully, you can hear a little bit of that. But if you can't, trust me when I say that it is very clicky. It already feels really good. Okay, let me just go here and just kind of see how the inputs feel. Yeah, okay. I'm just gonna jump around a little bit. All right, obviously I'm gonna not do too well. Not because I'm good, but just because in general, I'm not as good as I used to be. But okay. Already, I will say that it does feel really good. The D-pad, it feels really precise. What I like is that clickiness because it kind of gives you that like feedback that, you've made the click, it's been registered. And in general, all the buttons, as you might be able to tell, maybe you can hear it, is very clicky as a whole. It's like almost like mechanical, and it just overall just gives you a really, really nice feel. All right, so there you go. I mean, so see that move actually that you're seeing, it's a little complicated. It's like right, down, right, and then you gotta press B and then R1. And a lot of times on my fight stick, I'm able to kind of do that. Not the fight stick, but the hitbox fight stick. So I honestly did not think that would be a move that I could do as easily or as many times as you saw there, as quickly as I did. But that's really cool. I want to go into training, just going to show you what I'm talking about. So this move right here, right? So it's right, down, right. So again, see right here, right, down, bottom right punch. And we kind of get this move. And it is surprisingly easy on this. I won't lie, normally I struggle with this, and the fact that I can do this on this controller so many times is really cool. It's really, really responsive. I really like how this feels. This is definitely my favorite D-pad so far. This is actually crazy. Wow. This is really good. This is really good. I really like this. Alright, so now that we've tested out the D-pad, let's check out the little fight stick emulators. Alright, so I'm just gonna put it on the left because, you know, we don't really need it on the right, but okay. Yeah, it's okay, it's not bad. That's cool. Okay, okay. Okay. It's really slippery. So like when I'm kind of pushing it to one corner, it does feel like my thumb's gonna slip off, you know? So it's not something that I can like grip on. And even like this, my hands are kind of big. So even like this, it's not really like a fun, you know, thing to kind of use. Like it doesn't, you know, it's just, I was trying to see the use case in a fighting game and I just don't see it. Like this feels so uncomfortable. Like it's cool. Like it's a cool thing to have. It looks cool. You put it here in front of you as a showpiece and you're like, hey, that looks cool. But I'm talking about in terms of actual gameplay, this feels like a novelty. This does not feel like something that I would actually use. And even in terms of any actual gameplay, I just don't see why I would use this considering how, yeah, this is really slippery. Like compared to this, right? Like when I push it to one side, like I'll keep pushing, it'll come off, but it'll take some time. Whereas in this one, it's a lot quicker because it makes sense, right? It's a ball, so it makes sense. All right, now that we've tested out the controller on a fighting game, we've seen how the D-pad works. Let's go into an FPS game to see how the joysticks feel and how the triggers feel. All right, so now we're here with Rainbow Six Siege. I won't lie, initially I did actually start up or record a bit of Battlefield 2042. There was an issue with that footage, so we'll be doing it again. But then I thought, why don't we jump into Rainbow Six Siege, because I do feel this would be a good test to see how precise the joysticks are, and of course how the triggers feel as well. Alright, so I really love Rainbow Six Siege. I haven't played in a while. But Rainbow Six Siege typically does require a lot of precision, which is one of the reasons I like it. Alright, so just kind of moving around a little bit. And there's something I noticed in Battlefield as well. The sensitivity is a little bit... It's a little too strong for me right now. If you're someone that of course prefers the precision. Oof, like yeah, see like when I'm turning, it's a little much. So far like the left trigger feels pretty good anytime I'm aiming down sights. But that's kind of the thing that I'm noticing is it's a little jumpy. And I think that is just part of the settings that it comes with. It might be the joysticks. I noticed the same thing with the 8BitDo Ultimate 2. I honestly do think that this is something that if you are someone that likes the precise nature of controllers, you really have a good handle of the joysticks and how you want to move them. Each little movement on the joysticks will give you that movement you expect on the screen. This controller will do that. You know, this controller will definitely kind of give you that feedback. Okay, wow, I'm really bad at this game now. But the thing is that it is good. It's good enough for FPS games. Like it does what it's supposed to. The triggers feel good. I think for me, the main thing, like I was mentioning, is just the joysticks. They just feel a little too twitchy. And like I said, that might actually be a good thing. That might be something that a lot of people actually want. I think for me, it's just something that I'm not too used to because I don't play that many FPS games, especially with a controller. But it is something that I can still find enjoyable. I can see myself just kind of playing like this and being okay with it. Not like, you know, it's not like something where I'm like, okay, this is a deal breaker. If you are someone that wants to play competitive FPS and you're looking at this controller, I would say I'm sure there are probably other controllers that are more in line with what you would expect for an FPS game and for how the controller react for the FPS game. I think this controller is good enough for most casual gamers to play FPS games. Like obviously it's Rainbow Six Siege, we're playing a more of a casual mode. But even with Call of Duty or the new Battlefield, I can see myself playing with this controller on those games on my PC. Just kind of sitting back, you know, not with the mouse and keyboard, just playing with my controller and having a good time, you know, being okay. All right, so why don't we move on to the next game? All right, so we're hopping on F1 2025. We're gonna jump into a time trial so I can take my time. We have Monza race coming up in F1, so why don't we jump into that? All right, so I'm just gonna slow down and I'll make sure to highlight the brake and the accelerate button, which is the left and the right triggers, on the screen so you kind of see, you know, what I'm doing as I'm doing it. So obviously I'm not pressing anything right now. I'm gonna slowly accelerate. All right, so we're gonna get to like around 50%. So that's 50-ish. I'm gonna go a little bit more. All right, let's go full send. Okay, it's not bad. All right, let's brake all the way. All right, so the triggers are pretty good. They feel good, at least to me. The main thing that's kind of coming in the way of my enjoyment to a degree are the sticks. The sticks just feel way too sensitive. Which again could be, you know, I'm with the TMR sticks, as we saw with the 8BitDo Ultimate 2. This could be something that a lot of people like, right? It's more precise. You just have to be a little bit more careful with how you press it. And of course, you can go into the sensitivity menu to switch it out and change things around. All right, brake. Slowly accelerate. Push through. Okay. Yeah, no, it does feel pretty good. I'm going to try to see how the left trigger feels on some of the braking areas where I don't need to brake all the way. Okay, there you go. See, that was pretty good. That was pretty good as well. Yeah, look, the triggers feel pretty good. They are as precise as the 8BitDo Ultimate 2. They feel a little bit different, and different in a good way. Because one of the cool things I like about these triggers, let me just drop my car on the side. One of the things I like about these triggers is how there's this little kind of bend. I know it's not fully in focus, but there's like a little bend that kind of goes up like that. So you can kind of rest your fingers on here and it feels really good. It feels comfortable. And even when I'm pressing on it, you know, the responsiveness is really good as well. Yeah, look, the triggers pass with flying stars as with before. I can kind of control the precision. I'm just going back all the way off the accelerate, slowly bumping up, bumping up, bumping up, bumping up, bumping up, all the way, full send, and letting go. Yeah, like it feels good. It feels precise. You obviously do need to be very precise with it. You know, like if you gotta use a different finger, whatever it is, especially for a game like this. But the precision is there. Same thing for the brakes. I'm gonna press on it slowly, 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 slowly. It's halfway, and we've already stopped. So I'm obviously gonna start reversing. But yeah, feels pretty good. All right, so now that we're done with F1 25, let's jump in to a single player game. See how immersive this controller feels. Alright, so we're jumping into some Black Myth Wukong. I haven't finished this game, so I thought it would be cool just jump into here, just check it out, see how it plays. So I have no clue where we are, but I'm just gonna wing it. Alright, this person wants to mess. Okay, not bad. Vibrations wise as well, it's good. It's kind of like 8BitDo's The Ultimate 2. It's subtle. It's nothing too, you know, crazy or anything like that. forgot how fun this game was. It's been a while since I played this. Overall, it feels great. Like, it feels good. It feels as it should. I mean, I'm really liking this. Like, this is, I can see myself playing single player games on this moving forward. It's not gonna be anything revolutionary. It's not like the DualSense where you have the haptic sensors, the haptic feedback, anything like that. But in most cases, yeah, like it's pretty good. Just because I like the D-pad so much, I want to quickly jump into Hollow Knight just to see how it feels here. And I really like this D-pad. This will definitely be my 2D game playing controller moving forward for sure. Okay, so now we're checking out the software, the 8BitDo Ultimate Software V2. We looked at the same software for the 8BitDo Ultimate 2 as well in my last video. This will be very similar. So you have the option to update your controller or also the dongle. There's no updates at the moment. I do like that there's two options, one for the Switch version and one for the Windows version. If you go to the Switch version, okay, so yeah, so basically you can create different profiles for each version, the Switch version and the Windows version, which is good in case you have specific settings on how you want it to be on your Switch versus your PC. We're gonna make a new profile for the PC. We're gonna call it test. And then once we go into the profile itself, we can see the options. Yep, so we can remap the buttons. As you can see, obviously you can remap it to what's available on the controller itself. For whatever reason, if you want to make the right into a right bumper, you can do that. It's up to you. All right, so same thing for the macros. So let's just take the PL, the back left button. I'm gonna try to make a macro for that one. Back L test. Or let's just do single. I'm just gonna start RB, 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 LB, 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 left trigger, right trigger. Okay. So my assumption is, obviously I'm not gonna be able to test this exactly, but the assumption is that when you press the back L button, it will do right bumper, right bumper, right bumper, right bumper, left bumper, like all that left trigger, right trigger. And you can do single buttons. Let's see what is repeated. Okay, so I see. So if it's repeated, it will just basically go in a loop. It will repeat according to the interval you want. And then if you do multiple, it will repeat multiple times. So it's useful. It could be useful for games like World of Warcraft if you know the exact intervals between different spells or different casts, things like that. I'm trying to see what the best use case will be. I don't have a use case for this, but if you do, this is available if you want to have those kind of macros set up. So let's check out the joysticks themselves. We can see the joysticks. You can obviously kind of reduce the dead zone, things like that if it's needed, make it probably less precise. Or maybe I would have to tweak this to kind of make it into more of what I prefer. You can also invert the axis, which is great. Swap the left and right joysticks if you want to do that. Like, there's a lot of options here, which is cool. These are triggers, same as what we saw on the 8BitDo. You can kind of see it goes all the way to 100 when I click all the way down. You can see if you let go of a little bit, it is pretty precise, which is good. If you are someone that is looking for that, you can swap them. And then the vibration, I'm holding L2 and R2 so I can get the vibration feeling. You can choose the intensity. Even with this, it's not like it's, you know, detailed, anything like that. It's just vibrations, like how you would expect. It's not haptic feedback, so it's nothing too crazy. It could be like HD Rumble, although HD Rumble is using haptic, so it is a little bit more detailed. But it's pretty cool. It does the job. All right, so we're gonna now test out the controller on the Nintendo Switch 2. I have connected the dock itself into the Nintendo Switch 2, so into the USB slot on the side. As you can tell, it is charging. There's like a little red light on the controller. And when I do take it off, all right, so there you go. You can see it switched to 1, which means it's connected. But when I'm pressing any buttons, the Nintendo Switch 2 isn't popping up. All right, so I did figure out what we need to do to be able to use the 2.4 gigahertz mode for this controller. So you actually need to go into the controls and accessories menu in the system settings for the Nintendo Switch 2. You then need to go down to the selection called Nintendo Switch Pro Controller Wired Communication and select it and turn it on like you see on my screen here. That essentially will let you connect this using the 2.4 gigahertz mode as opposed to the Bluetooth mode. Now, the thing that I want to test out is whether or not I can actually wake up the Switch 2 using this controller. So I'm going to go put it on sleep. Alright, so it's been on sleep for a little while. Okay, it says it's connected. So it's a little bit disappointing. It doesn't seem like you can actually wake up the Nintendo Switch 2 using this controller. Okay, once I pick it up and turn it on, then of course I am able to actually, use the controller. All right, maybe that's just a 2.4 gigahertz mode. So from my research, it does seem that third-party controllers at this moment cannot wake up the Nintendo Switch 2, which is, for me, a very, very big fault. Like, what would be the point of kind of having this? It's a great second controller. So you wake up your Nintendo Switch 2 and then you have this controller on the side alongside your Switch 2 Pro controller. But it's obviously, as you can imagine, a lot of work for you to kind of have to like, okay, I'm going to use this controller. I'm going to pick this up, put it back in. So the Switch 2 pops up, it wakes up, and then you pick this controller up and actually start playing with it. I will say the vibrations in this, especially on the Switch 2, feels really good. Like it almost feels like HD Rumble, which is pretty impressive. As you can imagine, all the buttons, everything works great. I really love this game, so I'm just playing this for a little bit now. I'm glad that there's a way for us to connect it using the 2.4 gigahertz mode, but like I said, the waking up part is really pushing this almost to a almost like a deal breaker territory for the Nintendo Switch 2, because it's a great controller, right? But the whole point is that you would want something that you can just kind of pick up and play. You don't want to be thinking about methods and this and that to be able to look. In the end, it's not a lot of work that you need to do. You just need to pick up your Nintendo Switch 2, put it back in the dock, and then pick up your controller and it will connect. It's a couple of seconds, it's not a lot. But the reason that I love this dock and the 8BitDo, like the way everything works, is how it's on this dock is presented. You pick it up and it connects immediately like it does with the PC, and you're good to go. Now, of course, it's not like I'm waking up the PC with this controller. But when a controller is designed for a specific console, it's just something that you would expect, Removing the wake up part, the controller does feel really good. Like everything feels awesome. For me, the thing that surprised me most is the vibration, the HD rumble, or at least from what I can feel, like it feels like it's HD rumble because it's surprisingly good, surprisingly detailed. Like, yeah, it's really good. Like, this is very, very good. This is a great Nintendo Switch 2 controller. So the 8BitDo Pro 3 has a number of great features, something that all of us that are controller enthusiasts are probably interested in. And if you're someone that's really into playing Metroidvania and the 2D games, this D-pad is... What the hell? Okay, Hank, what do you want? What's up? Party pooper. Let's get into it then. Let's not glaze over this issue. You cannot wake up the Switch 2 with this controller. Why would I want to buy this controller for my Nintendo Switch 2? As you saw in the video, the controller does not wake up the Nintendo Switch 2, which is a very big downside to owning this controller. Since it is designed for the Nintendo Switch and also your PC, that would be an expectation that it would be able to wake up the Nintendo Switch 2. From my understanding, this is an issue with a lot of third-party controllers on the Nintendo Switch 2 in general. Maybe this can be changed in the future through an update, but as of now, you will need to wake up your Nintendo Switch 2 first using your Joy-Con or any other methods, and then turn on your 8BitDo Pro 3 to be able to connect to the Nintendo Switch 2. It's not a long process to connect the controller, and the controller as a whole is really good, but it is an inconvenience, and when you are spending $60 on a controller, it does feel quite frustrating that you have to go through that. Now, what about the price? Let's talk about the price. $60. $60. You can get a lot of other controllers for $60. Why would I spend it on this? So for the price, for $60, you are getting a lot. You're getting a controller that has multiple buttons on it. You're able to customize the controller quite a bit, as you saw in the software. It has the dock that looks great. On the PC at least, it is pick up and play, where it does connect to your PC immediately as soon as you pick it up, because it does connect using a 2.4 gigahertz dongle. The D-pad is fantastic. You're able to swap the buttons around. You're able to remove the joystick, so in the future, if you want to put something else on it, maybe something that's a little bit longer, maybe not as long, you know, that could be something you could do. All of that for $60 is quite a steal. You don't really see that in any other $60 controllers out there. So I do feel for $60, this is really worth it. Now those TMR joysticks, you were having a little bit of trouble with that on the FPS. You're a pretty bad gamer, but you were extremely bad in this instance. So what's up with that? So yeah, the sticks did feel a little bit off to me, especially when I was playing any FPS game like Rainbow Six Siege or even Battlefield. And just to compare, I did look at the 8BitDo Ultimate 2 controller and the joysticks here, and also the 8BitDo Pro 3 joysticks. And of course, you won't be able to see this on your screen, but they are basically similarly shaped. The only difference is that the Ultimate 2's joysticks are a little bit higher. And I don't know if that is why with the Ultimate 2, it felt a little bit more within my grasp when I was moving the controller or the joysticks around. Whereas with the 8BitDo Pro 3, because the joysticks are a little bit lower, and it might be because of the shape of this controller, the way it's designed, that they've made it a little bit lower. Because it's a little bit lower when I am playing an FPS game, I think because of it being lower, I'm not able to get a good grip on it, if that makes sense. It's something to keep in mind. It might be a me issue and a man issue, so it's possible you might not go through this. But the joysticks as a whole are serviceable. They are TMR joysticks, which are great, so they're extremely precise. You're able to customize it to your liking, the sensitivity in the software as well. And as a whole, I think it's a great FPS controller. You'll have a great time. If you're someone that's competitive, this is not really a controller for you. It's not meant for competitive play. It's meant as a casual gameplay enjoyment play. Let's just compare this to the other controllers, because I want to know how this compares to the 8BitDo Ultimate 2. So when we compare this to other controllers, we can kind of start off with the Nintendo Switch 2 Pro controller. The difference here is this is around $90. The price had gone up recently. I think it was around 85 or so before, and this is 60 USD. So for $30 less, you're getting a controller that is great. The only thing it doesn't do that this one does is that it can't wake up your Nintendo Switch 2. But otherwise, it has everything plus more. It has additional buttons up top over here. It has the switches on the back to make this into button clicks, so you can just kind of have no resistance at all. As you saw, you can swap buttons around. The joysticks, the D-pad is great. You can also use this on your PC. And unlike the Switch Pro controller where you are stuck with the layout as is, with this one you can move stuff around and make it look the way you want it to look. Now comparing it to an Xbox controller, which is the go-to for many people on the PC, the Xbox controller, depending on your hand size, is a very comfortable fit. Surprisingly, because I do have big hands, I usually went for the Xbox controller and then the 8BitDo Ultimate 2 as well. But something about the way this is designed, the way it is kind of pushing out, feels really, really comfortable in my hands. I can see myself using this as my new go-to PC controller. It doesn't have the same kind of heft, the same kind of heaviness, but it's not something that I'm surprisingly missing. It feels okay the way it is. Now, when it comes to my go-to single player games, especially ones that have or use the haptic feedbacks, I will still go to the PS5 Dualsense controller. The vibrations in this is the same as the other 8BitDo controllers. It's okay, it's serviceable, it does the job, it's nothing spectacular. Of course, the haptic feedback sensors and everything in the DualSense, it is something that is quite impressive, especially with single player games where they are taking advantage of that. That's something that I do miss on this. It's not something that is a game breaker or a deal breaker, anything like that. You'll still have a great time. You'll get all the information you need. But I would love if in the future 8BitDo does come up with a haptic feedback controller that can basically compete with the DualSense. And last but not least, the 8BitDo Ultimate 2. This is basically my go-to controller right now, this and the Ultimate 2C. The 8BitDo Ultimate 2 size-wise or weight-wise is very similar to the 8BitDo Pro 3. It's mainly the shape. And of course, the 8BitDo Ultimate 2, you also have the option to have the RGB around the sticks. Not something you're really missing. But the 8BitDo Ultimate 2, the thing that I actually don't like and I've realized that I like on the Pro 3 are the buttons and the way the bumpers, the sticks, everything are designed. The bumpers are kind of concaved in or are kind of shaped in towards the controller. So it feels a little bit weird, whereas this one is kind of those old school bumpers. They have a nice click to them as well. The triggers are similar where they do kind of go up, whereas from the Pro 3, I notice it a little bit more as opposed to on the Ultimate 2. And like I was saying, surprisingly, the way this is designed, the shape is just very comfortable in my hands. Like I really like the way this feels, that I can easily see myself using this and preferring this over the Ultimate 2. That's also not taking into the consideration that you can use this on your Switch 2, the button layouts, all the stuff, the changes you can make. And of course, the D-pad, which is just simply amazing. Way, way, way better than the Ultimate 2. There's just so many amazing things going the way of this controller. That wasn't even funny. So the 8BitDo Pro 3 is an amazing controller. I cannot see myself not using this controller now that I have this all set up with my PC. I honestly thought I would be using this for my Nintendo Switch 2, but to be honest, I will probably not. It will be more of a PC controller for me, which is a bit of a surprise because I will try to use this on my Switch 2 here and there, especially when people come over and I need a second controller for the Nintendo Switch 2. But this just feels so good, and I really like how it plays on the PC, the buttons, the layout, everything, the heft of the controller, the vibrations. It's just so perfect. And for $60, you can't miss with this. 8BitDo does such a great job of releasing great controllers that feel great and are really worth the money. If you're someone that's into FPS games, like I mentioned, the joysticks do take a while to get used to, but they are something that you can get really used to quickly. It's not something that I can see people using for any competitive sports or competitive esports leagues, anything like that. But if you're someone that enjoys Battlefield 6 or Call of Duty here and there, and you just want to use a controller for that, you can, and you will have a great time. For single player games, anything like that, of course, controllers are, this is great. It does the job. It does what you would want it to do. But for me, the main selling point is definitely the D-pad. The D-pad is so good. It is just so amazing. The clicks, everything. As I'm recording this video, a lot of times when I'm saying something, I keep going around messing around with the D-pad because the clicks are something that are it's just so amazing. It's so cathartic for some reason. It's like, imagine like you're popping those air bubble things that you get, the air bubble wrap things that you get with packages or whatever. It's kind of that feeling. It's so good. I love it. This would be like a perfect controller for 2D games, Metroidvania games, for Hollow Knight, Silksong, things like that, or also Street Fighter 6 and any fighting games where you want to use a D-pad. Simply amazing. So thank you so much for watching this video. It really means a lot. If you've made it this far, please think about liking and subscribing to the channel. It really helps a lot, and I hope to see you next time. Thank you. Bye.